don't think there's anyone here yet.
It doesn't matter.
Well, I can't talk to no one.
Yes, you can.
It says event logs 2. Okay.
There you are.
Cool. Just going to give it like a minute or two for people to come in. This really is like doing a fringe show, because you sort of sat there for like 2 minutes to go waiting for seeing how many people you got to come in, and then eventually some will join, and then you kind of fuck about a bit, and then a few will come in there, and then if it gets to, when I've had like small numbers before, I've often got into a kind of awkward situation of deciding whether to do it or not when I've actually started doing the show in the first place.
Yeah, don't do that.
I'm not going to do that. There was that. Where was it? I did the one where I got like, I think it was at Canonsgate. I got about half an hour in, and then I just said, right, I'm going to like turn my back, and anyone who's hating this just can fuck off, and we'll say no more about it. And I'll just do it. I think it was kind of half and half, I think. And there were still people there, but yeah, it was. So it's going to get like, so just going to kind of give it a bit. You know, I'm Wil Hodgson, as you obviously know from the fact that you're on Wil Hodgson's page. I'm here locked down in the People's Republic of Chippenham, and this is my bookshelf. So what I'm going to be talking about when I get started, I'm going to be talking, of course, about the Spice Girls, but I'm also going to generally talk about girl bands generally, a bit about kind of bubblegum pop music in general and what I like about it, and also just about music in general as well. It's going to be a music chat. It's going to take the form of if you were sat next to me up the old road and we got into a music thing and you got into a very one-sided, I'll say one-sided, if anyone's got any kind of anything they want me to extrapolate on or talk about, like, by all means, you can comment on here and it will come up, I think. Could you just test that for us, Sarah? Just write something.
Yeah, there'll be a little delay. You've had
see if I can see it.
Already.
Okay. Well, either I'll see them on the screen or Sarah will tell me what they are and I'll endeavour to answer them. No, nothing's come up yet.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a delay.
Cool. So just again, giving it a little bit. Oh no, it says 2 comments here. Hold on. This is all kind of.
You should.
New tech. Could you be able to read them out for me? Is that going to be all right? Oh,
there you go.
Stuart is hi, Stuart. Hello, Sarah, who's next to me. That was just a kind of test thing. So I'm going to start soonish, I guess, and then just test comments. Robin there, and
I think because you've got a touchy screen, if you just do that.
I'll just do that with that. Sorry, I'm a bit of a fucking Luddite, really. I'm of the kind of I should know all of this.
Pre-millennial.
I'm not. I'm just literally pre-millennial. I was born in '78, so I'm like young enough to not fear the internet. I'm young enough to have like 50 or 60-year-old blokes in the pub squinty at me because I'm looking at something on my phone instead of like just glaring bitterly into nothing. But I'm also old enough that I just don't know how a lot of things on it work. I was trying to, the other week I was trying to was looking at that TikTok thing to try and make that work, and I just don't know how to make it work. Got the tits for it, I think, but not the capacity for ideas for like improvised dances to be doing. So is there any more? I shall see the comments. Sorry, I've done that. It's going to give it a little more. Going to give it just like 2 or 3 more minutes. This would be the point in a live show where there'd still be like music playing, presumably the Spice Girls. I would have thought if this was an actual show, there'd be something from Spice or Spice World playing. Nothing from Forever. I wouldn't have thunk at all. So that would still be playing.
Oh, Chris is watching.
Cool. Hi, Chris. How you doing? I can see on here. There's going to be some use of props, but it's literally just going to be holding stuff up. It's not going to be. This is going to be very kind of. It's not going to be a. I've not spent the week writing like a kind of jocular show. This is more kind of like a ramble. A lot of when I was posting on here before, trying to think of ideas for things to do online because we're locked down, obviously, and can't be doing gigs. People were saying they would like me to be just sort of talking about shit that I'm interested in. And I was, well, the other day we were driving up to, where is it we were going to? Trowbridge for, what the fuck were we even going to Trowbridge for? It was
to try and go to Tesco.
Try and go to Tesco in Trowbridge. We took one look at it and thought, fuck that noise right off the bat. Serves us right for not sticking with Chippenham. It's good old Tesco where you get deliberately coughed in the face if you work there, apparently, according to something that I've seen on Facebook today. So yeah, stay classy there, Chippenham. But and we were listening to in the car. It's a case of finding car CDs that work because they're all in pretty appalling condition that are in the front of Sarah's car. So I think I bought it from Pineland recently for a car journey, and it worked just about. And it was Geri Halliwell's Schizophonic solo album, and I started to we started talking about the Spice Girl solo albums that all kind of came out around about, even though Geri wasn't in the band, they all kind of came out around about the same sort of time, or seems to anyway. And I was remarking about the various kind of pros and cons of the various albums. Then Sarah suggested I should go on Facebook Live and talk about the Spice Girls. So that's the genesis of this. So I'm going to start with. I'm just going to start talking about me and music, to be honest, because that's as good as, because you need like context with something like this. A lot of people think that I don't actually like the Spice Girls, that I'm just being kind of deliberately obtuse and trying to get a rise out of like readers of classic rock magazine. And there is a bit of that. That's not the reason, but that's a kind of happy bonus of it, the kind of annoying of what I call rock boys. I like classic rock music, but I just like, it's the whole thing just pisses me off. It's just like, it's like good. There's like good examples of music, and I like stuff like sort of Zeppelin and like kind of southern rock, that sort of thing. But I just get kind of pissed off at the kind of beige sort of hippiness of the whole thing. I like a bit of kind of colour in my stuff. And I started with, in terms of music, I started off like listening to, I think the first favourite band I had was Culture Club, and Boy George was my first, like pop idol. He was my first favourite pop star. I had a T-shirt that I don't think I've got anymore, even with my hoarding stuff, that I had printed in Teignmouth or possibly Weston-super-Mare when I was on holiday with my parents. I didn't go on holiday on my own when I was like 5 years old, but you used to get those T-shirt printing places at the seaside. You still do, I think, now, but I think when I say like T-shirt, I mean like ones that used to, like old school ones, where you get like a T-shirt of things like a tortoise having sex with an army helmet with "only when I'm pissed" written under it, or a guy sort of turning around looking like he's lifting a barbell with his erect penis with "look, no hands" or whatever, or the kind of "I've not got a drink problem, I drink, I get drunk, I fall over, no problem, I'm probably gonna die before 50" and that. But you can also get T-shirts with pop groups on. So I had one with Boy George on it, and he was he's still got like iconic to me now. I know that there's been a few kind of sort of things that when he eventually passes, God forbid, and I go R.I.P. Boy George on Facebook, there'll be a shitstorm about various kind of things. But I mean, but in terms of when I say like a hero, I don't mean like I support every single action that Boy George has ever done in his life and worship him like a god. I just mean Boy George was like a big influence on someone. The first person I thought was cool, had style, and he still influences my style now. I mean, when I was like 5 years old, I had no idea of the kind of what was being driven. I thought it was like a comedy thing. It was a joke. He's called Boy George and he dresses like he's female, and I thought that was like funny. That was like a kind of that they were like a novelty band in a lot of ways. But I like them. The first kind of pop stars that I liked after that, as when I was growing up, there was Michael Jackson. I'll admit to that. I've got 2 Michael Jackson dolls, by the way, if anyone wants to buy a Michael Jackson doll and knows. I've got you're a collector, you do, especially the last kind of 10 years or so, it has to be said, a lot of collectors like myself have got a bit of a kind of mini museum of infamy. So if anyone wants to buy 2 Michael Jackson dolls, I've got the Thriller one and the Billie Jean one. They used to be good collectible items. They're in very good condition, annoyingly good condition, and I've all got all the accessories with them, and I'll even throw in my Jim will fix it soap on a rope and my Rolf Harris stylophone and the Rolf Harris LPs I've got that I could in theory throw them out, but I'm afraid the bin men would see them and judge me. So there's all of that if anyone's interested in that. But Michael Jackson I was well into, as a lot of other lads my age, because I was born in 78. I was exactly the sort of age for it's all going to sound creepy as fuck in the context of now, but I was of that kind of age where we thought Michael Jackson was a god. That's why it's so fucking terrifying when you see all of this stuff, because it's like you remember how much you hero worshipped him and how cool you thought he was as a child, and you think, well, thank fuck I never run into him, because do you know what I mean? You don't know. It's anywhere, but I love this stuff. Is there a question?
Jimbo would like to know how much for Thriller Jacko.
How much for Thriller Jacko? Make me an offer. Make me an offer. I think I've even got a third one. I think I've got like a one with bits missing as well that you could use to make a custom of something. Whatever you could do a custom like Smooth Criminal or a custom. Just like an obvious thing, but I was well into it. I loved Thriller, and I really properly loved Bad, Dangerous. A bit kind of, he sort of lost me a bit with that. I'd slash at Guns N' Roses on it though, but I loved Michael Jackson. After Michael Jackson, there was Madonna, and I was into Madonna when I was about. That's a very formative thing as well with me. I was about kind of. I suppose I would like Madonna. I got properly into Madonna when I was around about kind of 11, 12 sort of years old, sort of between 11 and 13, so puberty age. And that was around the time she was doing the Blonde Ambition tour and all of that. And fucking hell, the effect on it. I used to get, when I was a kid, people had accused you of being gay for liking Madonna. And you think, right, so you're calling me gay because I'm interested in the attractive blonde woman flicking herself off lead on a bed in her film, and I never quite got that. But Madonna, Christ, it was when you're that age and you're a boy, your hormones are like fucking ballistic anyway, even without watching something like In Bed with Madonna or listening to like albums like I'm Breathless and all of that kind of thing. So that was like, I was kind of firmly a sort of pop enthusiast. I liked some like commercial hip hop stuff, and Vanilla Ice. I was well into Vanilla Ice when he was out. I had hair like Vanilla Ice at the time. I had that kind of. It's not a fucking million miles from what I've got now, really, but I had the kind of top flipped. I even had the bit of bleach in it. My mum did for me, the kind of white things. I'd seen Vanilla Ice on Wogan with it, and my mum very kindly. You were allowed tram lines at my school. I could do a whole thing talking about Vanilla Ice's To the Extreme album. That is, I think, the funniest album that has ever been recorded that's not been intended to be so. It's an absolute work of comic genius. That might be a future thing. So I was into like, I'm going to try and paraphrase. I'm just rambling on about what sort of music I have liked. Has there been any more questions before?
There was one that we missed from Caroline Butler.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the BBC4 documentary on him? I think it was fairly recent. And then she put Boy George and Brad.
Oh, did we what? We watched one about Culture Club where they did like a reunion thing and they all fell out repeatedly. But I did watch that. Yeah, there was the whole of. If anyone hasn't read it, Boy George's just going to outright scratch. I'm not even going to make some pre. I was going to find some way of scratching my nose, that looking like I was picking it, but I've just done that. But Boy George's "Take It Like a Man" autobiography is one of my favourite autobiographies by anyone.
Chris Chopping says, I got into Michael Jackson with the History album, so I got to work backwards to the good stuff. And Jimbo says, Madonna's sex book, isn't there a pic of Madonna and the...
There is a picture of... I forgot about the sex book. My dad had a lend of the sex book from a mate of his. My dad used to work at the Olympia, and he had a lend of the sex book off of his mate, and I had a loan of it for 2 weeks. I can't quite believe that he would have wanted it back after that. God, it was Vanilla. There was the thing with Vanilla. I thought my head was going to fucking explode. There is a thing of Vanilla Ice doing her from Mind in one bit, and there's like her lesing up with Naomi Campbell and all of that. It's a good book when you're a young just a young person who's attracted to women. That was a good book to read. I never had my own copy of it, and I bet it's even more fucking expensive now. The thing was like massive, and it was made of fucking metal. It's almost as if like this is like gonna give you the raging fucking horn so much it needs steel reinforcement on it. But yeah, fuck.
Jimbo says, I'll get my people to speak to your people.
I'll swap you. If he's got the sex book, I'll swap you for all 3 Michael Jackson dolls. No bother.
Darren Jefford says, what happened to the My Little Ponies? They aren't getting any love in the backdrop.
They're all down. There's a couple in the backdrop. What it is, they're all downstairs in a box because they were over. We've recently moved, like 2 years ago, moved house, and they're all in a box waiting to be cleaned, brushed, and all of that kind of thing. There's Snuzzle back there, and if I move my head that way or the other way, there is the Pirate Pony. Right, but I've not quite got any fucking grasp of like the mirror thing. There's the Pirate Pony back there. There's been a lot of in the old place. I had like a big shelf that was just My Little Ponies, and then I got in the process of moving. They never got moved, and they just need to be dusted and severely baby wiped and all of that, and combed out and everything as well. You know, they say about builders having unfinished building projects and that kind of thing. I do hair for a living, and the state of the manes of my ponies is quite frankly, it's a fucking irony. The idea of me having my pony collection in sort of disrepair, it's a bit like hearing that like what's his face out of Minor Threat has like gone on crystal meth or something like that. What's his face? Mackay Fugazi bloke. It's
going to be a fun day in lockdown. We've still got a few weeks to go. We'll have a fun
we'll have a fun day. That could fucking do that. Could Facebook Live that. Pony maintenance or any maintenance. So I grew up. I grew up on pop music before having my kind of got into like metal rock. That was through being in the cadets, as I remember it. I got into the sort of music that all the other lads liked in the cadets. So it was Guns N' Roses, NWA, kind of like rap, like sort of the swearier end of rap music, hip hop music, and then I was into metal. I was a metaler for a bit. I never had long hair and that because I was in the cadets. You'd only have like as much you could put under your cap in the cadets. So I had like sort of like short sides and like kind of sort of pompadour on the top and that. And I was I got into punk through being into metal. That was through Guns N' Roses. And Metallica, they used to go on about the Misfits and the Sex Pistols and stuff. Got into punk, and I was just fucking obsessed with punk from when I was about 14 to kind of the present day, really, with various blips. This is before punk had any kind of gained any respectability. This was when no one gave a fuck about punk other than scary 30-year-old blokes at that point. This is just before Green Day and Offspring came out, and then punk kind of got a bit of a second lease of life, and it became marketable and all of that. The punk gigs I used to go to when I was like 16 were minging affairs that I just think of, like the smell of like amyl nitrate and piss and spilt cider, and that'd be like seeing bands like Chaos UK, the older bands that had not stopped touring, Chaos UK, and there was bands like sort of Muck Spreader, Screamer, kind of Bristol bands. You go there and it'd be crusties and blokes with fucking bad facial tattoos and women fighting and like ripping chunks out of each other's hair and people slipping up on spilt beer. There'd still be like sort of relics like gobbing and that kind of thing. But I was well into punk. I was into the Ramones, the Sex Pistols, and all of that kind of thing. And then grunge, Nirvana, ducked to fucking water with Nirvana. I decided that Guns N' Roses were like a load of homophobic shit overnight because of that. And then I was in Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and I sort of went from like maladjusted redneck teenager to fucking like liberal self-entitled snowflake, I suppose, through like Kurt Cobain. But then after a bit, I sort of had I had my Britpop thing. See, for ages, I'd thought I'd not really had any interest in like indie music, even though I probably should have had, because I just associated indie music. We're talking about between like 1990 and like 95. So like in between End of Manchester and Manchester and that, and like Baggy and all that sort of thing, and the beginning of Britpop. And it was a lot of stuff that I love now, but at the time I just thought this is fucking sixth form of music. That it was music for like blokes. Like if you've all seen Cracker, presumably, with Robbie Coltrane. The son out of Cracker, the guy that was the kid that was Gruey, and then he grew up to be the son out of Cracker. He looked like, basically, look at him, that was basically fucking indie fans between like 1990 and 1995, just like unwashed, kind of long hair, scrunchy, and like t-shirt with like Carter USA with fucking blim burns all the way down it, fucking DMs with Tipex on them, a lot of peace symbols, Pop Will Eat Itself, the Family Cat. Nothing wrong with the music, but I just thought this is like fucking, this is sixth form music, not like sort of sea cadet beer drinking kind of music. I've no interest. And then, of course, there was Oasis, and I fucking loved Oasis when they come out. It was kind of they kept done down now, Oasis. Liam's my favourite member of Oasis. That's another. There's going to be a lot of opinions people aren't going to like in this. It's these people used to go at the time, they go like, oh, like Oasis, they go like, oh, the fucking singer's a twat, but the brother, he's all right. Wrong. Noel Gallagher is the twat. Liam Gallagher is fucking cool on his day. He's again has had some less than admirable moments, but it's fucking also it's Noel's the fucking redneck fucking miserable bastard. Liam's the fucking guy with the fucking, I liked him because he used to go on with like a woman's coat on or whatever, and had a bit more kind of, this is the thing, all the way through I've kind of liked musicians that have a bit of kind of a touch of the kind of, I didn't get into Bowie till years later, didn't get into Bowie till I was about kind of 17 or 18, I don't think, but the things that have been influenced by him. I grew up when pop music was like blokes in eyeliner and metal was blokes in eyeliner, and Kurt Cobain used to go on wearing dresses and that kind of thing, and that, so there was that kind of that glam thing has been like the consistent thing in my musical taste, has been some kind of form of kind of glam rock and sort of guys in eyeliner, blokes wearing nail polish, blokes who like you wear their girlfriend's wardrobe, that kind of thing. Prince is another one I fucking loved as well that I should have mentioned. And so absolutely, because I've gone on a tangent here.
There was lots of hilarity about pony maintenance. Caroline Butler says someone from Discharge drinks in our local. Darren Jefford agrees with you on your opinions on Liam and Noel.
Rightly so. That's because I am right.
Jimbo says, why do you think music in the 1990s was so tribal? Was it something particular about youth culture and identity? Many decades are, but there was something about the 90s.
Well, in the 90s, like, tribally, I remember the main thing I remember from like Chippenham was there was kind of the main thing in Chippenham was like rave culture and ravers, and dance music, something that I appreciated more. Basically, when I was older and started going out and started experimenting with taking drugs, I started to appreciate dance music. When I was like 14 in 1992, which was like the kind of main years of like not acid house but like rave, I thought it was all shit, all like part of my French shit for cunts. At that point, I associated it with old scary older kids that menace you when you were out in the evening with your mates, and just like you get some fucking nutter with a jacket of like Kenwood or fucking whatever on it, and usually ironically like a fucking peace symbol or a smiley face somewhere on there, like fucking menacing you and not threatening to fucking pull a flick knife on you, that kind of thing. So I thought of all of that kind of rave happy hardcore thing. I just thought it was fucking thug music. It's probably the same way that a lot of people look at people like sort of like hippies thought of skinheads, I suppose, at the time. If I saw like a load of lads like that, I thought of Joe Blogg's kind of happy, hardcore, cheesy quaver tops. I presume they were going to fucking menace me for wearing a fucking biker jacket. I used to get loads of shit for wearing a leather jacket in the 90s. I've always worn a biker jacket. I had my first one when I was at primary school. I think I had my first biker jacket. You get all kinds of shit. I remember like instances where like my mates were like getting an altercation, and like the people, and they'd be. I remember once when someone, it might have been Adam Johnson, did something to someone's door, and this kid comes out and he's sort of like, "Oh, I bet it was you with your big fucking leather jacket." People were fucking angered by the leather jacket and the fucking quiff back then. People really didn't fucking like that. I'd seen Crybaby when I was about 11 or 12 years old and fucking loved it and wanted to be Wade Walker at Crybaby, and I couldn't have picked a more fucking out-of-step thing. So I used to have like a biker jacket, and I used to like try to wear like a white t-shirt, well, like a plain white t-shirt, 501s and like Chuck Taylors, and have like various kinds of quiff. And I used to get shit off of kids, and the fucking state of the kids I get shit off of, they all had fucking, like, if you had photographs now, I look a bit like a sort of nerdy version of Joe Strummer, and they all look like they've fallen out the back of the Happy Mondays fucking ass. They're all like fucking like centre, like Dougal haircuts and mushroom cuts and fucking long sleeve tie dye things, and like fucking Ned's Atomic Dustbin and all that. It's an angry face.
Ooh.
An angry face. But it's all that fucking rave culture. The baggy jeans, like the red bits. I had a pair of those, to be honest.
Maybe it's someone being angry on your behalf.
It could be. Just got fucking succumbed to the jeans thing. Joe Bloggs. I used to hate all of that thing. I suppose that was kind of tribal. But there weren't many people that were in when I was at school that weren't into like sort of that weren't like into rave music. There was like a few people that were into indie, and I've already drawn like extremist views about that. I was like sort of going, I was into punk for the last bit of school, and there was like a couple of my mates would like listen to the Sex Pistols with me, and I went with a mate of mine to see the Ramones, and saw the Ramones once. I saw the last Ramones gig in London, and then they announced they were going to do another last Ramones gig in London. That was in '94, I think. And then it was Brixton Academy was the second one. And my dad suddenly got the day before, got the fucking fear about going to Brixton, because he thought he was going to get like stabbed up by yardies or something like that, because it was Brixton, and I'm sure my dad would assure you it was a different time back then. But I've still got somewhere, I've got 2 tickets for the Ramones' last gig that are in absolute, not untouched. They've not been like ripped or anything like that. I don't know whether I'd sell them or not. I was just gutted I missed that gig, but I saw them before that. But other than that, there's not really anyone that's thinking about. I mean, like now, you see like girls that are into punk now and into like metal and stuff. This would have been fucking unthinkable when I was like sort of 15, 16, and I was like, I had bondage trousers that I bought from a shop in fucking Swindon, and I still had my biker jacket, and I had like sort of spikyish hair and like a t-shirt with Sid Vicious on it. I was trying to fucking get off with girls in puffer jackets that were into like fucking Mariah Carey and that kind of thing, with like fucking not a lot of degrees of success. But there were no female counterparts to you when you were like me. You had to kind of try and infiltrate the mainstream in that respect. And like they mostly just look at you like you had two fucking heads. You're sort of like, oh, fucking, like sort of, right, darling, are you into fucking Crongen or whatever? You wouldn't fucking have it. You see that? No, fucking these young emo lads of the noughties onwards, as much as they may feel tormented and conflicted, I always think sort of fuck off. You got fucking girls that like the same fucking stuff as you, that like the same fucking things as you do. Fucking would have, that would have been like I would have lost my fucking mind if I was like, oh, there's a girl your age who's into fucking thing. I want to see Rancid, and there's young lads there with fucking girlfriends that are into fucking Rancid, who are basically a fucking oi band. I mean, the idea back then that girls give a fuck about that oi music, I fucking loved as well. I was in the Cadets. Scott Baxter's dad did him a tape to give to me that was the Foreskins' first album, once on all the. Anyways, the Spice Girls. So let's get round to the actual crux of this thing. The Spice Girls are one of my favourite bands. I got into them after Britpop lost its shit. Britpop, fucking great for a bit, and then it started off with a bit of glam rock about it. It was Oasis, Brilliant, Blur, Pulp, Supergrass. It had that kind of thing. Then it lost its shit, and it was Oasis that done it, I think. Not only did they drop the ball with their third album, but they caused fucking, I'll tell you what, Tribal. If you want to know about Tribal, fucking indie nights at universities in the mid-1990s after about the death of Princess Diana. That's the whole thing. You go to these things. This is when indie split right in two. You had like kids like me, eyeliner, wearing like 3/4 length leather jacket, like dyed hair indie kids. And you had like cast Ocean Colour Scene, sort of Paul Weller worshipping types. And they did not fucking like men wearing eyeliner at that point. They used to have like, I swear the DJs used to fucking do it deliberately. It's going to be my mate Joff the Goth used to go to indie nights together. Like, there's more like uni. There was more kind of like people that were into just general alternative stuff. But you go in there and like they put like the Manics, You Love Us on, and then it'd be followed by like something off the third Oasis album or something by fucking Embrace or something like that. You'd have to get off the dance floor before all the fucking macho fuckers were on doing the fucking made a meal and threw it up on Sunday and all of that shit. I used to go to goth nights with Joff the Goth as well. Never could get my head around goth. I should be a goth. You think I'd be a classic goth? I like wearing makeup and I liked horror when I was a kid. I should have been a goth, but yeah, I've just never. I used to go to the goth. There used to be a club called Mirage in Luton, and it used to be on the Friday. It'd be goth night upstairs, and fucking, I was going to say Tommy Robinson types, probably actual fucking Tommy Robinson. Seeing it was Luton downstairs, and like Christ, you'd have some terrifying run. This was what Chippenham, this was fucking Luton. You'd have run-ins with like fucking football hooligans. I remember Joff the Goth once was in the. We were in the. I will talk about the Spice Girls in a bit, but we were in the fucking. It was a Firkin pub in Luton, and we were sat in there, and he goes over to the jukebox and puts the Weeping song by Nick Cave on, and fuck me, this massive fucking football casual just fucking comes over, and he's sort of like, who the fuck put that on, and Joff the Goff's like, he's like, fucking, he goes, you fucking ever fucking put anything, like it's like someone telling their child off for running into the fucking traffic. God, you fucking ever play anything like that again, I'll fucking open you up, I'll fucking open you up, and all that. We're fucking shitting ourselves, this fucking screechy fucking twat. But they used to have a fucking goth night above fucking loads of fuckers like that. I remember I used to see the fucking, I never participated, but I used to see like there'd be the spiral staircase. You'd see like the sort of like the townies, we used to call them the fucking townies back then, like trendies, that kind of thing, going for like a piss. They'd be coming down with their girlfriend on their shoulder, and some of the goths would be trying to trip them so they'd fall down the fucking stairwell. They used to be like with the music, I'd never read. It was Marilyn Manson and that. I liked the idea of Marilyn Manson because it was like fucking offending like born again Christians and that kind of thing. There has to be a place, but like, what's the fuck going to listen to it? I mean, Joff the Goth used to love it, and I used to share a flat with him, and we used to, the other guy we shared the flat with used to hate having shared a flat with a goth. I was fine with it. I liked Joff, and also he used to have like some of his girlfriends used to just fucking walk around naked as well, and that's like one of the plus sides of sharing your house with a goth, but for whatever like sort of satanic naked shit he was doing in there. But I used to go to the thing, and they used to play music that I wasn't really into. Like, there used to be like I like the Cure now, but I wasn't really that arsed then. But there used to be bits of there's one DJ, Ron, he used to play Take On Me by Han. It wasn't a ubiquitous then. I sort of heard that. I thought, fuck, I've not heard this. Was about 1997. I thought, fuck me, I've not heard this since about like 1985 or whatever. I thought, that's good. But I was like, but it's not a fucking goth record. And the bloke would be like, no, it's like a new romantic. It's like, it's not a fucking new romantic record. It's a fucking boy band record. It's a good record, but just like say what it is. And he said, I think he put it in there. One day, this DJ, I can't remember what his name was, but he used to like model himself, I think, on that bloke at a ministry, that Jorgensen bloke. He used to have like a fucking big hat and like shit. One night, apparently, I wasn't there, but he played Encore Une Fois by Sash in the middle of his set of industrial and goth. And that was apparently the fucking end of it. He flew too close to the sun. He thought, I know what I'll put in there. I'll put in Sash. We all alternative. So that was the fucking hated Sash, not necessarily that one, but that one. What was the one that was the kind of, if you were doing a film set in the 90s, that'd be the soundtrack of being chased by loads of cunts, that na 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 wah wah wah. They used to play that when I was in like the main club, it's like the student night in like the main arseholes club. They'd like sort of go, I'll get a free drink to any girl that'll get her tits out. That'd be the music they play when they put the fucking spotlight on some drunk girl getting her tits out. It's called the fucking Beach, that club. I threw up all over a bouncer in there one night. He didn't do anything because I was going like sort of like, when he's like sort of, where you go? Where you fucking going? Like, sort of like, trying to fucking puked on him. And I'm like, I did try and tell you. And he's like, just fuck off. But the Spice Girls, see, it's been 36 minutes. I'm not on the Spice Girls yet. I first got into the Spice Girls when they first come out. I had a bit of a sudden kind of renaissance moment with that. Britpop had kind of lost its shit, I thought, and metal I just hadn't been following. There was grunge. I thought I'd read too much in the NME telling me that grunge was basically against fucking British interests. So I remember the NME did a thing that was like showing Britpop as the war, and it had fucking Damon Albarn as Churchill, and it had fucking Billy Corgan as Hitler in it, and it had who's the guy out of Bush? Oh. Anyone who's the singer out of Bush, but they had him as Oswald Mosley, implying that he was like the fifth columnist because Bush were a fucking grunge band, but they were British.
Robbie Chris,
no, he's the guy who married Gwen Stefani. Nah, not him. It's good. It's right. So I need something else to be into, and I think I heard the Spice Girls, liked it. When it dawned on me the Spice Girls were one of the greatest things ever, I was in Plymouth visiting some mates down there, and I was in a club with my mate, like a mainstream sort of handbaggy kind of club, and I was still in me Britpop thing, so I had like bleached sick boy at a train spotting hair and a Ben Sherman and like baggy Levi's and fucking pie crust shoes on. Gavin Rossdale out of Bush, and I was there with like a bottle of Hooper's Hooch in my hand having a dance, and then Wannabe come on, and it was just like a fucking stampede of fucking mental girls, and like suddenly there's like fucking girls with all kinds of salacious dancing, there's girls fucking grabbing older blokes and fucking dry humping them and all that kind of thing. I thought this is the sign of a phenomenon. If this is happening, there was a competition in the night where they had like various scores that were vague, like the Spice Girls, like a look-alike competition. That was all. You can imagine how fucking classy that was in a Plymouth nightclub. But I thought this is kind of like a thing. And the Spice Girls, to me, I think, are the second best manufactured band ever after the Sex Pistols, for my money. And bubblegum pop's a fucking brilliant thing, and there was plenty of that in the 90s. That was, I think, as Britpop saw the real good stuff in the 90s, was the resurgence of proper bubblegum pop. Now, you can't talk about the Spice Girls without talking about where they fucking lifted the idea from, and that was one of the greatest bands of the 90s, one of the greatest bands of all time, and that band was Shampoo, who came up with the phrase girl power. What they should have done, I think, and what I'm going to be doing a lot here is, I've often imagined myself in amongst the sort of like various imaginary scenarios involved with the Spice Girls over my years, one of the more kind of proper ones that I could talk about here would be, I've always thought I could have done a better job of managing them than, so I couldn't have done what Simon Fuller did, don't get me wrong. I couldn't have got the Spice Girls where they were. That would have been unlikely in the extreme. I worked at Iceland at the time, and I was redoing my third year of university. So the music management thing, I knew nothing of the music management thing. I knew about moving boxes of McCain home fries, and the only real kind of strategical discussion of the Spice Girls, it would just be like in the grocery room, sort of like we all agree, gentlemen, all of us would like to have sexual intercourse with the Spice Girls that were on the telly, sort of like we concur about that. Who is your favourite Spice Girl? A wholesome conversation like that. I couldn't have achieved that, but when it went wrong, I reckon I could have made it, not improved it. I don't think I could have got the Spice Girls back to where they were, but I wouldn't have wanted to do that. What I would have wanted to do was just make it, they kind of went off the boil, and you can either kind of, when you're in a band, you can either kind of fade away or burn out. I think the Spice Girls, what they should have done was got weirder. It should have been a more mental kind of fall from grace than what it was. Shampoo were fucking brilliant though. Shampoo, basically, a lot of their songs would have like worked even better. It's if you're all going to be familiar with Shampoo's "Uh-Oh, We're in Trouble," and a lot of people only know that. What you've got to listen to is get that single on Spotify, the B-side, which is called "School Is Boring," which is one of the greatest punk songs ever, and it's literally just two fucking stroppy teenagers just bemoaning the fact that someone's trying to educate them, and saying they'd sooner be watching Australian soap operas. And you can basically imagine they've just sort of sat in a fucking back of a classroom just giving the teacher a fucking death glare, and then sort of like, oh, what's the capital of Botswana here? Anyone? Shampoo. Just like fucking angry bubblegum inflating and fucking pop. This is kind of all good girl bands come from the tradition of what the Shangri-Las, I think. In the 50s, girl bands have got to look like a girl gang. The Shangri-Las were obviously like a 60s girl band, leader of the pack, that kind of thing. The Shangri-Las were kind of different to other girl bands at the time. There was the Supremes and those sort of bands that were more kind of, because Berry Gordy was trying to make Motown a kind of universal thing, the sound of young America. Everything was very kind of smart and cleaned up. The Shangri-Las looked a bit more like they were the girlfriends of unsavoury characters. They looked a bit more like kind of the Pink Ladies out of Greece. They looked like they might have like a flick knife down the front of their pants. Their boyfriend's gone, just fucking cut someone with this. Just fucking look after this till we get into the fucking nightclub, please. And they would do it. That's the proper tradition of girl bands. You've got the Runaways after that, and then there's various kind of, there's Bananarama are another good example. Bananarama, because they sounded and looked like the whole thing was being done down the brook at the back of school, like they bunked off for a fag. Bananarama all sound, if you listen to them, none of them can sing, but in a brilliant way. They just sound like they're fucking sat on a wall drinking cider, singing something that's on the radio. They don't. It's just literally through the harmonisation. It's like they basically sat on a wall smoking and shouting "Virgin" at boys that walk past them. That's Bananarama. This is the tradition. Shampoo were like that. Shampoo's albums are brilliant. But many of you have probably not heard any Shampoo stuff other than "Uh-Oh, We're in Trouble." Their albums are mostly about, the songs are mostly about how high an opinion they've got of themselves, stuff about violently attacking boys for being boys, and just generally stuff about that appears to be about kind of seducing boys and then just going ha ha and kicking the living fuck out of them. The second album, Girl Power, had them with knuckle duster rings, like solve rings with Girl Power on them, and this is where they got the whole thing for the Spice Girls. The Spice Girls were a bit more like, they were more like a girl, not so much like a girl gang, but more so than kind of All Saints, I think we'll get to later. So the Spice Girls, fucking love the Spice Girls. The other thing the Spice Girls is, they've got what every band needs, and that is fucking merchandise. by the barrel load. You have to merchandise the fuck out of a pop band over this. Well, there's no point in doing it otherwise. The Beatles started this, the Monkees, the kings of it were Kiss. I've never really. Jeff's not watching this, is he?
I've no idea.
I've never really liked Kiss, but my mate Jeff does my tattoos, fucking loves them. There's a few songs I like by Kiss, but I've just never quite got my fucking head around it. I like the fact they merchandise it and all of that kind of thing. I like the idea of the Kiss Army, that kind of thing, but it's more of an American thing. In it, Kiss Army, Kiss lunchboxes and stuff. I can see why Americans love them. I can see why Jeff loves them, because he would have had like a Kiss lunchbox and like a Kiss exercise book and all of that. And Kiss would have been more like a comic book or a cartoon than a band. And that's the Spice Girls, I suppose, are kind of like the Kiss of Britain in a lot of ways. There was so much merchandise that I've got to hand here. There's this. You can't do smell.
Oh.
On the internet. This
amazing.
Is a bottle of Impulse Spice Girl body spray from, is there a date on it?
It'll be roughly 1997, I would have said.
I reckon that's about. It was when it was the second album, Spice World, because the advert was them walking down the street with Spice Up Your Life playing, and that was the thing. The smell is quite like.
It's incredible.
It's evocative. This is so. See, now on a new fucking thing to new kind of punk thing to do, which is fucking would you want to wear fucking Lynx deodorant like fucking Mike and the Mechanics probably do, or do you want to smell like the fucking Spice Girl deodorant? It's the perfect fucking thing. Pop music is about annoying dullards as much as it is enjoyment. It's about enjoyment at the expense of people who want everything to be like a fucking Jethro Tull recital with a load of fucking hairy old blokes that are tax exiles fucking noodling about on shit. Pop music, the more it annoys fucking music fans, the better it is. Shampoo, I understand it, annoyed the absolute fuck out of Paul Weller types and fucking Ocean Colour Scene. That's good. Kaniki were another favourite band. Well, they were kind of post Spice Girls. I'll get to them. Spice Girls merch. There was my Spice Girls watch that I used to wear on stage for years, and it broke and was stopped working. Rather, I think it's fixable. The strap broke.
And
that was
the
battery died, and now I have a.
And then I fixed it for you today.
Sarah fixed it for me today, and she also fixed my. This I used to wear on stage all the fucking time. When I started doing stand-up in the very early 2001, it was I think it was something like January 31st, 2001, and I used to wear this this was actually made by Kim, my stepsister, actually made this for me back then in I suppose, yeah, just before I started in 2001, I used to wear this all the time. I can't remember why I stopped wearing it now. I think the feet were dodgy on it to begin with, and they might have come off. But I used to wear that on stage. I hadn't started dyeing my hair pink at that point, but we just used to look kind of like a fucking scruffy ass fucking layabout that smoked his weight in fucking skunk weed every day, which is exactly what I fucking was at that point. But I used to wear this to give myself a touch of glamour. That's from the Topps unofficial Spice Girls series. It's just called The Girls You Really Want. It's got a picture of one. There's a boxed one over, so way over there. But I might grab it at the end. I've got a mint in the box one as well. The box isn't mint. The box is fucked, but the doll in it is in mint condition. And I've got a pencil case somewhere, a giant pencil case. I've got various dolls that are all also in the kind of brushing stages and stuff. All fucking brilliant. And then there was the movie. You've got to have a movie if you're going to be a proper pop band as well. Every proper pop band, from the Beatles to Slade, had a film. And I think the more preposterous the film, the better it is. They did a fucking good one with Spice World. That was an absolute fucking belter of a ludicrous. I'm just going to have a drink. Is there any more questions?
Smudger Smith says...
this is nice, by the way.
That club in Plymouth wasn't Jester's, was it?
It was jesters. That's absolutely spot on. There was garters was another one as well. That was absolutely rough as arseholes.
Darren Jefford asked one question that I'll save till the end because it's going to distract you, I think. And he also asked, "Where is Joff now? Joff the Goth."
Joff the Goth. I seen him at came to our wedding.
Yeah.
Joff the Goth, and I believe he's in the army now.
There we go. Jimbo doesn't like Impulse Spice. He thinks Tommy Girl or Lynx Africa are superior.
I'll give him Tommy Girl. Lynx Africa. Is that the one Nick likes? Lynx Africa.
I think so.
I'll make Nick likes Lynx Africa. He gets like all variations of it for Christmas every year. I can't wear any fucking deodorant other than like fucking 0 fucking pH like Sanex now, because otherwise my armpits go like the fucking singing detective. So I can't wear this anymore. What was the other question? We'll leave that for the.
So as this was Darren Jefford as well. So as relative newcomers to Chippenham, 18 years since we moved here, what's the one thing you miss from the old days and one thing that's improved about Chippenham?
Part of me misses Diggers being open because it meant that no one kept banging on about fucking Diggers being shut. Things I miss about Chippenham from the old days.
One thing.
One thing I miss about Chippenham from the old days.
And then something that's improved since the old days.
Something that's improved. Something that's improved. I could walk around looking like this without getting nearly fucking killed by arseholes. In the early 2000s, I used to get in some properly fucking scary situations with cunts in fucking pubs and fucking clubs and that. That's the thing. That's just everything's moved on. No one gives a fuck about that. But I used to go into the Four Seasons with like a pink mohawk, full makeup, fucking lipstick, fucking eyeshadow, like bright pink eyeshadow. I'd have like a fucking deep throat t-shirt with fucking slashes in it with like one of my fucking tits on display and safety pins in it and a big fucking badge saying I love bondage written on it and fucking like Avril Lavigne laced gloves and fucking like as much Claire's accessory stuff as I could put on my fingers and still move my fucking hands. You get loads of fucking Matalan fucking BNP cunts trying to fucking do you over and that. That wouldn't fucking happen. No, I wouldn't have thought. Things I miss about Chippenham from the old days. One thing. My mate Pete. That's about it.
Darren's wife reckoned that Diggers would be the thing you missed.
No, I never used to really like Diggers particularly. Diggers, people go on about it. You think to listen to people, you'd think that Diggers was like the fucking hacienda or the factory or something like that. Diggers in my day, in like the mid to late 90s, was just a fucking handbag nightclub where you were lucky not to get fucking filled in if you were anything fucking different. It was just full of fucking trendies and townies dancing to fucking like the Out There Brothers and all of that. It was like, I missed the key years of Diggers when people gone about like the Jam played there and the Smiths played there and Ice-T played there. It's all it was when I went there. It was just like fucking the fucking get your what's that thing? Boom boom. Let me hear you say well and all that kind of thing. I solely went to Diggers to try and get off with women and get pissed and that was it. Didn't used to like it at all. A lot of the time you wouldn't get in. There were fucking scary ass bouncers outside that would they delight in if they seen you like pairing off with someone in like the borough or something like that, would delight on letting the woman in and not letting you in with some spurious thing about your trainers and all of that. No, I don't miss Diggers at all. And that's because I wasn't a clubby type and it was just a fucking club like any other back then.
Jimbo says, who was or is your favourite Spice, or are we getting to that?
Well, it was always, that's a good question, actually. I wasn't getting to that. It was the sort of thing you'd think I would get to in a show like this. It was, well, it's going to be I used to always go not Victoria, but I think, and that was kind of like harsh because I I don't like getting on the. I never like getting on the sort of bandwagon of sort of like, oh, I fucking hate them because they're fucking successful. I've had fuck all problem with David Beckham. I always liked David Beckham. He wears a fucking sarong and paints his nails and stuff. He's like my kind of fucking person and all of that. It was Emma Bunton for a while, but then it was I was kind of at the. I don't know, it's probably she was like the kind of favourite of a lot of fucking dirty old bastards, but I was the kind of like this. I was younger than her at the time, but the whole kind of like schoolgirl thing, I suppose, would be like you'd sort of think of some like 60-year-old bloke, sort of that's what I think like, well, it fucking would be a fucking dirty old cunt, but at the time I was like fucking sort of 22. I was just kind of like she had that kind of sort of same vibe that I had, the kind of like I was at the age where you could do that kind of like adult fucking whatever the male version of that kind of adult child thing without it being like the older you get, the less you can fucking pull that kind of thing off. But yeah, it was her, and then there was sort of Geri Halliwell was someone else that I just fucking they were just the two that I fucking fancied, and Mel B as well. And Mel, I just kind of liked them all really. Mel C, I had like a kind of phase of her being my favourite because they were pushing her as indie Spice in the Melody Maker, and they were like sort of, then she was like professing to be into all kinds of like sort of cool bands and stuff. And I thought like, oh, she's the one I'd like to actually go out with because like, I was still listening to like indie stuff at the time. I didn't completely fuck indie music off. I was into Kaniki, I fucking love. They're another classic girl band. There was also, even though their main hit was a record slagging off the Spice Girls, the Period Pains I liked as well. They were a great punk band of fucking borderline fucking psycho, like fucking 12-year-olds who then shot themselves in the foot by doing a John Peel session where they used the word faggot a lot in one of their songs, and that was the fucking end of them because they were like sort of whatever the equivalent of cancelled was back then. But the song appeared to be like an actual fucking thing about, it was called Ex-Boyfriend. It seemed to be entirely based in like fact and something that happened the other day, but you can't fucking say that in music. But they were great, the Period Pains, and who else was there? Shampoo, the Period Pains, Kaniki. I keep thinking someone would have helped me with this. I've got a vague memory of back then in the kind of post-Britpop kind of climate. Biss, not really a girl band, but a girl singer like Biss as well. I used to like Mandarin. I met her a couple of times when I was a comedian. In fact, Biss came to see one of my shows. That was one of my fucking great days in comedy, was when Biss came to see me. I like the fact that Biss were all still fucking, I'd met them at the stand. I like the fact that Biss were all still hanging out, like they were clearly like actual mates and not just a band. And they all sort of come off as a band of mates. They were fucking great. Biss, favourite Spice Girl. I suppose I've got tattoos of Geri there, and I've got a kind of Hello Kitty, Emma Bunton hybrid thing there. They're probably like my two aesthetic favourites, I guess. But then it was then I was going to get onto the solo record. The whole thing with Victoria, of me not being that kind of fussed about her, was because of the solo output. Is there any other questions? And I'll get on to...
Yeah, Tom Kite. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
If you were a Spice Girl, what would your Spice name be?
At the time, fucking Stone Spice. Now, fucking Paranoid Spice. Anxious Spice.
Aww. And Jimbo says, that was a roundabout answer. Were you trying not to say Geri? And then also adds, I went through phases. Started with Posh, ended up with Ginger. This sounds like a punchline to a drug joke. It isn't.
Well, I wanted to like... I'll see what you're doing there. At the first up, there's as soon as they come out, there's all the whole thing of Geri Halliwell doing porn, and I was sort of like being like a contrarian. I thought like, oh, I don't want to fancy the same one that everyone's like fucking, that everyone else has got like sort of fucking, and all of that in the fucking back room at Eyston. So I thought it'd be more sophisticated and sort of like, always like Mel C, always like the underdog in bands as well. That's who Mel C was kind of like the the less kind of like, she was kind of like pitched as being like the less sort of obviously sexualized one with the kind of tracksuit thing. So I think that was kind of aimed the same as like Ringo in the Beatles. It's the, who would be the one in Take That? It was the like
Probably
fucking Barlow, probably.
Well, we Take That. When I was young, everyone loved Gary, Robbie, and Mark. So it'd be Jason and Howard were like the ones that if you said that you liked them, everyone thought you were a weirdo.
Well, see, I had a mate when I was when Take That and E70 were in their pomp. I knew a lad, and he used to, if he was trying to chat up a girl, he'd ask her whether she liked Take That or E17. If they said Take That, he wouldn't pursue it any further. But if they said E17, then he'd be sort of, they'd be like, and moving further, because his theory was that he said something like, Take That fans, they all want to marry Mark Owen in a big church, and E17 fans all want to fuck Brian Harvey around the back of the bike sheds. He said if they said Take That and their favourite member was Robbie Williams, he might reevaluate what he was thinking, but that was his philosophy of that you could sort of tell, that he reckoned he could tell the virtuousness of a girl by her favourite boy band. E17 were, you can sort of see that E17 were like, it was like nerdy bloke and his fucking mates who steal cars, basically, wasn't it? That demanded. I always got the impression that them two other ones, not Brian Harvey, the other two, that they like just bullied Tony Mortimer into letting him be in the band. They always look like the fucking Cray twins stood in the back, like one sort of like that photo of the Crays where one's peering over the other one's shoulder. There's the fucking E70. There's Brian Harvey, he might as well have cunt tattooed across his face, and then you've got like there's the morose sort of sad looking one with the woolly hat, and then there's the fucking one with the fucking evil sort of like, I've just seen someone with their right ear pierced, I'm going to fucking menace them kind of thing. They were the. I think it was just one of them, but there was a thing that they were the pallbearers at Reg Cray's funeral, that he had E17 carrying the coffin. I think it was just Tony Mortimer and not some others, because there was Reg Cray's wife banned all gangsters for his funeral because they'd all made, like, I think they'd all made cunts of himself when he was on his deathbed and stuff, and she was like, I don't want fucking any of you turning this into a circus. I think it was Tony Mortimer was one of the like approved pallbearers or something. It should have been all of E17. She missed a trick there. All of E17 with fucking like Deep playing or something like that, as they carried Reg Cray out. There was no fucking E17 to the Spice Girls Take That though. And there was All Saints, but of course All Saints were fucking diabolical. It was awful. Also, the thing with there's a thing in Irving Welsh's Glue where the character Juice Terry says that he's got a poster of All Saints because he goes, "Oh, the Spice Girls just look like girls that you could get off with at like Buster's nightclub in Edinburgh." That's the whole genius of the Spice Girls. They did look like girls that you would bag off with when you were like 16 in dubious nightclubs, and that was the whole kind of point of it. All Saints just looked like they'd just were aloof, I thought. There's a long comment there about how no one can see this. Robin, there isn't clear from the event
that was
page.
from ages
Has
ago.
that been rectified now?
I have rectified.
That's been rectified. Okay, cool. Where are we now with the questions?
So,
stay. Of course, it would be stay another day, Chris Parsons. Yeah, that would be the.
There's two good ones. I'm going to do them in a different order to what they were asked, though. Which one out of E17 got run over? Ran over himself while eating a baked potato.
Brian Harvey.
Yeah.
Brian Harvey. When I was at uni, I had a mate called Emma who was she's like them back then. She was a fucking nutter. Her mum was one of the Benny Hill girls, and she used to live with two other girls. We used to call them the Mad Women. They were like mates, me and my mates. And she went up to Brian Harvey was signing shit in HMV Luton, and she got to the front and she went up and said, I don't know what she said, but she said something I didn't hear, and it made Brian Harvey fucking cry and fucking get off of his thing. Fucking, she was ace, but fucking terrifying and fucking mental. I don't know what she's doing now. I think she was president of the Manic Street Preachers fan club or something at at that point. She was like she was a fucking full on like Mannix fan at the time. Yeah, she made Brian Harvey cry. I always remember that.
Wilson asked, which punk bands would you compare each Spice Girl to? Which I think is a
right. There's a good question. It's a great question. Right, Sporty Spice is she'd be got straight edge hardcore, so she'd be something like Youth of Today or Bold or probably not like a. She'd be a positive American hardcore punk band, like sort of Youth. They should be one of those ones, like those ones that wear like Champion sweatshirts and have like tube socks and sing about being nice and stuff, rather than like the straight edge bands like Slapshot and that, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna knock some cunt out for having half a lager and all of that. She'd be Youth of Today. Right, Mel B would be Scary Spice. She would be. So an immediate thing there is saying, say she'd be like ska punk two tone, and they just think that's because she's mixed race. Will, you're racist, arsehole. But it's arsehole. But she did do the kind of toasting vocals on Wannabe, and that was what would make me think that. But in terms of Scary, I mean, she wasn't like goth enough to be like horror punk, that kind of scary. So I'd say, judging by the interjections in the records, she would be some kind of punk reggae hybrid. So I would say the Specials or Bad Brains or something like that. Victoria, Posh Spice, she would be aloof, cold, Joy Division. Or would she wouldn't be the Banshees, too kind of. Geri would be Emma Bunton would be Rubella Ballet, who were an anarchist band that the girls used to have like bunches and look like they'd have like dresses that were made out of like Mr. Men duvets and that kind of thing. She'd be Rubella Ballet. Geri Halliwell would be the Jam, because of the use of the Union Jack and the implication she was a conservative. Because Geri Halliwell was famous for saying that Thatcher was the first Spice Girl, and Paul Weller, before he was Mr. Red Wedge, the Jam were pitched as a kind of pro-royalist, pro-conservative punk band, probably to set in like an ill-advised attempt to set them apart from the Clash. And then I think they did that in like 78, and then when Thatcher actually got in, they were like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have fucking said that. And that was, yeah, so Geri's the Jam. Victoria, I'm going to go with Joy Division, and I'm going to go with Mel B with the Selector, maybe the Specials, Emma's Rubella Ballet, and Mel C as Youth of Today.
People reckons Mel B Bad Brains.
I thought that's what, because they were like a reggae punk thing, but to my knowledge, Mel B's not an insane homophobe, so Bad Brains wouldn't really be compatible with her. Bad Brains are one of those like great band, awful fucking views on things groups. If you don't know, there was Bad Brains they went off at they did a gig with Millions of Dead Cops and the Big Boys in Texas, and they went batshit because the bands had gay members in and did some kind of thing where they stole their drugs and wrote a note on their wall saying like "burn in hell, faggots" or something like that. So that's the, sorry to spoil Bad Brains for you there. They were terrible fucking homophobes back then. That was a good question, though.
Yeah.
Any others?
No.
No others?
Not at the moment.
I'll get on to. So I'm going to do what I'll set out to is what I would have done differently. So Simon Fuller managed the Spice Girls to greatness, and then Geri Halliwell left, and I've heard loads of urban myths about what happened there, and I'm not saying bloody any of them because I want to put this up on YouTube at some point without having to be censorious about it. But she left in unexplained circumstances, and the band carried on without her. and that was the mistake. They should have replaced Geri. I don't know if it ended the ban, because, like I say, the ban should have got weirder before it finished. I think they should have replaced. And at the time this happened, this was when I was at uni. So this was like about sort of 90. So it was about 1998, was it not, that Geri left the Spice Girls, sort of thing? You would have thought I would have diligently researched, but 99. It was after the Spice World film, and it was before they did the Goodbye thing. Wasn't that the first single without her? The Goodbye thing.
Yeah.
The Goodbye thing. So at the time I was going, they want to get Louise out of Eternal, Louise Redknapp, or Louise Nerding, as she was at the time. I thought that would be a logical replacement. Displace one. But there was always that rumour, wasn't there? She'd been sacked from Eternal because of the American record label not wanting a white singer in the band. I've never got to the bottom of whether that was true or not. That was concurrent with, you always used to hear that, and then Lauryn Hill said that she'd rather that her kids starve to death than a white person buy a Fugees record. Those used to be the two things you'd hear from, like, blokes in pubs in the 90s about sort of in a sort of like, oh, the real fucking racism is fucking Eternal and the Fugees, mate. Were either of those things true? I don't fucking know or think, but I thought, yeah, Louise Redknapp. Marty McCutcheon was another one I thought as well. I thought Marty McCutcheon, I could sort of think, yeah, you could get Marty McCutcheon. I could see her. I would have thought they'd actually just like squeeze someone else into the fucking dress to like kind of cement it. There was another Spice Girl as well. Something else I just thought now, like, you had all day today, Will, to research this. There was the one that got bulleted at the beginning that they could have brought back. I would have done my personal solution, looking at it now, is I would have bought both a shampoo in to join the Spice Girls and made them a 6-piece, and then taken all the shampoo songs about kicking the fuck out of boys and tried to go down a more kind of like militant feminist route to the thing. So I'd have had them read the Scum Manifesto by Valerie Solanas for a start. I would have tried to politicise the Spice, because it's presuming that I've taken over from Fuller. Fuller's got the bullet, and in comes me straight from at the time I was still smoking my body weight of weed at Luton University and going slowly more and more fucking mental. So if they thought he's the ideal man for the job, we'll get one of our most unhinged fans. So I mean, the first thing I'd do is get him off. The Scum Manifesto was written by Valerie Solanas, who was a kind of mentally disturbed hippie from the 60s who wrote a book that may have been a joke, may have not, called that was a manifesto for a group called the Society for Cutting Up Men, and the whole book is just about how men are shithouses, some justification there, and about how they should all be fucking killed and reduced to like 10% to like fuel the world. I would have basically done the same thing Malcolm McLaren did when he got the New York Dolls to become communists. When he took the New York Dolls and he thought, I'm going to make New York Dolls Stalinists and have them all dressed in red and waving around copies of Das Kapital and that. Fucking killed the band, but what a fucking fantastic way to go out. So I would have tried something similar with the Spice Girls and had them doing the whole Scum Manifesto thing and got all the shampoo songs about fucking beating boys up with fucking sovs on every finger, and that would have been my first plan. And also then you'd have to have a sequel to Spice World. There was no Spice World 2, and this is crucial in the thing. So by now I've turned the Spice Girls into basically a Riot Girl band on the extreme end of the Riot Girl spectrum, I might add, and added 2 of shampoo to it, and Spice World 2. So that would be, initially I'd sort of thought at the time, I thought the sequel to this needs to be more along the lines of Raiders of the Lost Ark. I thought the Spice Girls in like the jungle looking for Nazi gold and fighting Nazi zombies or something like that out in the jungle, and Russ Meyer was never alive to direct Spice World sequel, which is the great tragedy of it. It should have been Russ Meyer. John Waters would be the man, yes, to do the sequel to Spice World. Spice World is quite it's got Michael Barrymore and Gary Glitter. Gary Glitter was taken out of it. It was supposed to have Gary Glitter in it, and it had Meatloaf as the bus driver. What was it Meatloaf did recently? Got him cancelled.
Didn't
Not
he
cancelled.
He said something.
He said something and got in shit about. Is there like a thing where they go sort of like they get like a letter and go, it's your, like we understand that you're a celebrity who's in his 60s, and we're like, it's time for you to say something daft and get in major shit. So like, here's a list of like things you could do. Like you could inexplicably become a transphobe just for no fucking reason or whatever. So maybe Meatloaf just got a letter saying like you should probably like go on and fucking Morrissey actually received his letter when he was about 23 years old. Is an interesting piece of trivia and blew all of it, a lot of stuff first. So he was reduced to doing his whole kind of like fucking, oh, there's been a disaster. Well, that's fuck all compared to what happens at the Kentucky Fried Chicken on a fucking daily basis, whatever. And Morrissey's got his when he was president of the New York Dolls fan club, I understand. But generally, other people are less prodigious than him. Any questions?
Yeah, Ben asked, Ben Fortune Price. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
If the Spice Girls ruled over the Cool Britannia era, what the fuck era are we living in now? Which I thought was quite good.
What era are we living in now? A shit show era is what we're living in now, my friend. We're living in the locked indoors because there's a plague and a fucking psychopathic man-child running things in charge of things. That was the Spice was at the time of the Spice Girls. I was a young fucking socialist. I was in the SWP, and I thought it was terrible because Tony Blair was in charge and that we were in a fucking dystopia. Yeah. So yeah, we're living in a shit show. I don't know what. One of the great things is all that. But one of the good things about now is all that tribalism's fucking gone, and people just listen to anything now, and it doesn't really matter. You can you can listen to fucking Lizzo and listen to fucking idols, and no one or like listen to Justin Bieber and listen to death metal, and no one bats a fucking eyelid, and that's how it should be.
Jimbo said the Lauryn Hill kids thing is definitely not true. I did a bit of digging on that one after Eminem referenced it. I
didn't think it was true. It was true. It just seemed it was like there was a whole thing of like that was very much sort of mid-90s of like sort of like I remember sort of other white blokes being sort of like fucking like hip hop and R&B artists are all fucking after us, and that was seemed to be like part of that. It's as if I don't know, but yeah.
I think this is in relation to you were talking about who you would have brought into the Spice Girls after Geri left. Smithy said, what about those Russian girls tattooed? But I think they were later.
They were much later tattooed.
I remember them being around just as I was going to uni.
They were good because they made Richard Madeley lose his shit big style, like kind of Mike Reed lose his shit about that. When Frankie Goes to Hollywood come out, like most of you probably know this, they had Relax. That was basically them going like singing about this, like the great joy of sucking other men's cocks in a record. And Mike Reed who's fucking showed how with the kids he was put it on. He was like outrageous and fucking smashed it or some shit like that. And Richard Madeley had a similar thing with Tattoo on This Morning, where he was like fucking thinking it was going to fucking, he was like, oh, this is going to fucking turn the nation's fucking daughters into fucking lesbians. It's fucking like, no, fucking like the fact that fucking blokes like you exist is going to turn the fucking nation's fucking, but as if there's going to be a fucking incentive. I'm so fucking, I remember the first time I met a woman in Chippenham was openly gay, and I was like, I'm fucking surprised that every woman in Chippenham's not a fucking lesbian when you look at the fucking shit show of fucking straight blokes we got here.
Brian Devine said, Meatloaf said that Greta Thunberg had been brainwashed. But I think he maybe said something else as well. Maybe I'm wrong.
They're brainwashed?
Yeah.
Right. Old man in doesn't like Greta Thunberg. Fucking shocker. I'd fucking put her in it if it was possible. On a time she'd stick Greta Thunberg in the Spice Girls. See how that fuckers like that. And have a mid-section. Go, there we go. There's Spice Up Your Life. And now Greta's going to tell you what a fucking poor fucking sort you are. The fucking I like her. She's fucking Greta Thunberg. She's A, she's right, and B, it pisses off a lot of people that I like to see raw as a dog's knob.
he's added to what he said. This is a quote from me. She has been brainwashed into thinking that there is climate change, and there isn't. So he's a total.
Well, when I want scientific knowledge, I always think like I'm going to go for the fucking singer of fucking objects in the rear view mirror, maybe closer. Meatloaf's very good at belting out numbers, all sweaty with his tits on display and stuff. But in terms of, and he was good in Fight Club, but I wouldn't rely on him for scientific advice. It has to be said.
Freddie Valentine asks a very good question. What about Vanilla and their classic "No Way, No Way"? Were you a fan?
I was a big fan of this, Freddie, and I knew you would be too, my good man. Vanilla, the story I heard about Vanilla's "No Way, No Way" is it was a bet between two pop moguls, and one of them had said, "I can make a hit out of anything," and the other one said, "Right, I'll bet you do this," because but it's got to be you've got to pick 4 girls that aren't like conventionally sort of a like supermodel attractive, and the song has got to be based on the mana do 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 thing from the Muppets. And he was like, I'll do that and it will still be a fucking #1. And yeah, it was. That is a belter of a song. That is just a song. It's just 4 fucking pissed women encountering just a shower of shit of blokes in a fucking horrible nightclub, probably in like fucking Rettendon or something like that. And probably you can imagine that the blokes out of Rise of the Foot Soldier were doing the door when all the stuff in that song happened. Yes, great. If I just fucking girls in like kind of like all the girls used to wear like fluorescent green dresses and shit back there, just dressed up like oh my god, he's fucking disgusting, and that fucking brilliant.
Ben Fortune Price says, glad to be rocking the shit show era with you, bud.
Thank you, Ben. Glad to be rocking it with you too. It's just, and obviously there was shit going on in the at the time of that. It was like loads of shit going on. I thought things were quite sort of dystopian then, but there wasn't like a plague or fucking any of it. And it just fucking seems, it's when it seems a simpler time now, but it fucking, if you were like a Liverpool Docker or the Honor Bios or Sat Pal Ram, it wasn't a fucking simpler time at all. It's always easy to put the rose tinted glasses on, but yeah, any more?
No, but to bring it back to the Spice Girls, yeah. I have a question.
Go
on. What would you do, Will, if someone offered you the opportunity to buy the Spice Bus?
Well, it's funny you should say that, Sarah, but because someone did offer me the opportunity to buy the Spice Bus, and this was around about 2005, I think, if I can remember. This was back when I was on tour with the late, great Mr. Ian Cognito. And Cogs doesn't feature in this story, but it was on the tour. And I was with Pat Gallagher, and we were at a place. I can't remember why we were there. It was a bloke who had loads of buses. And he had the fucking Spice Bus. And I was like, absolutely like, this is before I had a fucking camera phone. So there's no photo of me on the Spice Bus. That's my the second time that I wish I had a camera phone. The other one is I ran into, first one was I was walking down Old Compton Street with Daryl, and there was Peter fucking Stringfellow, and we were both dressed pretty much fucking identically in leopard print, but there was no, all we could do was to do like a to each other, like fucking and all of that. There was no opportunity for the greatest selfie that ever could have been fucking taken of me and the fucking Stringfellow. But the other one I could have been not driving the Spice Bus. It was something like it was like a few K or something like that. He said I could buy it for. I think it was under 10K or something. It was like ridiculously low. But where am I going to park a bus every day in Chippenham, even if it's the Spice Bus? And secondly, I don't want to spoil things for you, but if you go in the Spice Bus, and I've been in the Spice Bus, there's no running machine, no swing, and no like area with leopard print on it. None of those. I got a feeling that those bits may have been filmed separately, and the bus wasn't actually. I genuinely thought there'd be some shit on there. At least there'd be the decor on there. There was the fucking running machine and for Sporty Spice, and then there was like Baby Spice's swing and all of that kind of thing. There's I would have amped this up to fucking 10 in the. Could have been a heist movie, Spice World 2. Could have been a heist movie. could have been. I'd want to feature at least one bit that was Mel B killing a man with her thighs in a Spice World 2, like strangling a guy to death with like thigh muscles in a kind of sort of Miss Piggy style thing. I don't think Miss Piggy ever actually did that to anyone. She very rarely was filmed from the waist downwards, except in The Great Muppet Caper. So Spice would have featured shampoo in it. It would have featured a radical like first wave feminist message, and it would have probably been a heist, and would have featured Mel B killing someone by crunching their neck with her thigh muscles. And is there anything else that I'd mention about Spice World 2 that I would have done to have?
Don't remember. Are you aware of what's happened to the Spice Bus, like recently?
Oh, it's still there, waiting until I've got some money to spend to buy it. Surely, what's happened to the Spice Bus?
I think it was last year. It might even have been the year before. Someone now owns it, and I think it was last summer. You could rent it out on Airbnb, and they've done it up so it does have all the stuff in it.
So I could have made my money back.
Well, maybe. But I think, well, you wouldn't now. If you owned the Spice Bus now and you're renting it out as an Airbnb, you'd be fucked now, wouldn't you?
Well, I'd be fucked now, but I wouldn't have been fucked till now. I could have had 6 people on the spot. It's room for 5. It's got to be social distance on the Spice Bus. It was all fairly.
I think you could only have like 2 people on it or something.
I'd Richard E. Grant in it. I'd have Richard E. Grant back in it as well, but I'd have him doing it as with now in the sequel.
Amazing.
In the sequel, I'd have him telling people to fucking shove it up your ass and fuck off while you're doing it. And that would have been. You can't have Spice World 2 would have to be a. That'd be the first thing. It'd be like it for the record label to go. This is a fucking 18 certificate for a start, and I'll be like, yeah, I want to be looking more at kind of going for a more avant-garde kind of thing. What Russ Meyer all over, like the Valley of the Dolls, that kind of thing. They missed a trick. I mean, was Simon Fuller a Russ Meyer fan? I don't know. I kind of guess possibly not.
Jimbo just put Scrubbers.
Yeah, I thought for a minute that was a reference to the sequel to Scum with Kathy Burke.
You could call Spice World 2.
Of course, a fucking prison film.
Scrubbers.
There you go. It could be like I was watching this film earlier that Danny Buckler recommended to me. That was called "We Still Steal the Old Way," which has got a load of like good old fashioned villains in it. So it's Ian Ogilvy, that guy that was the saint after Roger Moore. There's Burnside out of the bill. There's Ted Hills out of EastEnders, and that guy that was Harris in the Football Factory. And the bad guy's fucking Beach out of the bill. And they're in a prison where Rainey out of EastEnders is the warden. Scrubbers had Kathy Burke, his girls' board star Kathy Burke in it, and there was the warden was fucking Pat Butcher wearing a tracksuit. So yeah, so the Spice Girls, they could have a heist and then a prison bit as well. Yeah, good shaped. Whoever come up with. I
think was he not because you mentioned with Neil.
Scrubbers, of course, yeah, Scrubbers. Yeah, what I thought. Then I thought, yeah, the film Scrubbers. It's got the like. They must have thought with Scrubbers, we've got to have like a equivalent of the potting shed bit. It's got someone chucking a chamber pot full of shit in another girl's face in it. It's a good film. It's fucking bleak, but it's a good one.
Got good news for you.
Yeah.
Tom Kite has a friend who could build you a replica of the Spice Bus, I'm assuming, and he's put a little link. So
how big a replica? Like big enough to drive round?
I presume so. Freddie Valentine, were you tempted to go to one of the Spice Girls reunion gigs, or do you think it would taint the memory of them at their height? Yeah,
it would have been no point in going to that. It would have been too beyond the point. I wish I'd gone to the one in Cardiff. There was talk of going. I was talking. Me and Kev the Punk both wanted to go to the one in Cardiff, and we sort of thought we could go and have be like the fucking Spice Punks and see if it was like a thing like the local paper, like there appears to be a kind of sham 69 punk element to the Spice Girls crowd. Now there's some fucking nutters from Chippenham with fucking spiky hair there. But no, we nearly went to the Cardiff one. I thought like, no, he'd be like the oldest. Well, I wouldn't have been the oldest. Kev the Punk would have been the oldest. I should have fucking gone gone on my own. But no, I didn't even consider going to the reunion gigs. It would have to have been at the time or nothing. Is the thing is they kind of they did was they kind of like made something of themselves afterwards. Like one idea that I had at the height of my drug mania is I read about the Partridge Family Temple. Like Freddie, you must have heard of this. And if you haven't, have a look at it. This is a thing in America where they're like a religion that's based on the Partridge Family TV show, and they get this classed as a street gang because they've got a reputation for kicking the absolute fuck out of people that make fun of their things. They do like rituals to do a thing. I thought like you could do that. You could have like the Church of the Spice Girls. I thought they would have. I thought, do you know what? There'll be at least one of them in 5 years will be like at a loose end enough to get fucking involved in it and be the high priestess. I thought possibly Emma, but they all seem to have like kind of. I bought Emma, but the solo albums I was going to talk about. There was I don't know anyone else who had the Emma Bunton solo album. I had the singles as well. I thought it was good. I think they sold so badly that they might as well have had Jade Jones out of Damage come and fucking chuck it through the door of my flat. The Spice Girls could have got a good third album out of what was on all of those solo albums. But then you would have if you'd have kept Geri on board, if you'd have had like there was, so you had Geri Halliwell's one. I'm going to count that as a solo album, even though she got flanked out of the group. That's got a fair few good tunes on it. That's got Look at Me, good tune. It's got Bag It Up, that's a good. The Chico Latino thing. There was what was the one that was on there that we'd forgotten about that was a bit shit? Lift Me Up. Yeah, I would have refrained from that one. Mel C's one was the attempt to they thought like we'll give this fucking indie Spice thing another push. There was the You're Going Down thing. That's good. You could have had that on a third Spice Girls album. And it had that one with Left Eye Lopez on it. And there was also, it had a Britpop one on it. It had that song called Suddenly Monday, which was like, this was a thing on Britpop albums. It was already like an outdated concept by then, but it was like Oasis started. We had Dixie's Diner, and then there was She's Electric, the kind of like dink dinky 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 dink type song. And there was the fucking Supernaturals, and all of their songs were like that. All of them. They fucking were. I seen them at Glastonbury one year, and they fucking all looked like they were from a paint advert because they all had fucking like white overalls on. They looked like they were from like the fucking like how it was his idea. We'd all go down to do it all. They got it all here, da 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 da, everywhere. A helpful do it all ideas. They look like that, and all the songs sounded like the theme from Minder, but not as good. It was all just fucking like that, and that Smile thing as well. But that Suddenly Monday thing was like that. And then on like Mel B's solo album, it had the cover I remember was just her like putting her tits under a shower on the beach. I thought it was a good fucking start right about there. But it was good like mainstream R&B album. It had some good ones on there. It had that Let Me Sing You a Lullaby, something something something, 'cause you're sweet as a butterfly. I'd bung that on a third album as something. I think it was a tribute to her daughter or something like that. And then there was then Victoria didn't do. She did a solo. Emma Bunton did a solo album, and it was like it was kind of. She's from Finchley in Essex, and it was like what I like about Emma Bunton is that she is a kung fu or karate expert, and so is her mum. So she falls into my category of like sort of like hot women that could batter you, and her brother was some kind of nightclub bouncer, and I remember reading an article about that he was forever like turning away people that were claiming to be him from his nightclub and that. But he was her bodyguard when she like had her ankle sprain thing. She's being carried by him, and he's like a sort of looks like Peter Kay if you like grafted a Bunton family face onto him. And that, but hers had a cover of "Sunshine on a Rainy Day" da, 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 on it, and the rest of it's just quite kind of like bland, sort of designed for sitting in a Range Rover and driving down to a bollocks nightclub in Essex that will later be connected with an ecstasy death. And that it was disappointing. I thought her album would be more like would have been like the most kind of poppy, and it would have been like a fucking Aqua type album. But she dropped the fucking baby thing, and also she had dropped the fringe, and that was what that was the point. I think the Spice Girls lost it was when Emma Bunton started putting her hair back. And the thing is, Emma Bunton is like lovely and everything, but it accentuates the.
She's got quite a large forehead.
Exactly, and the fringe suited her. The other thing didn't, and it was like. So that would have been my third.
Judgmental of you.
What's I'm a fucking hairdresser? I'm a fucking hairdresser. You said it before I did. Anyway, I could have been about to say anything there. But she had great hair, and then I suppose it's only so long you can fucking have bun. See, this is what if the Spice Girls reunion, Freddie, they'd come back and they all just like looked like they'd just been sat drinking gin and tonic in dodgy pubs for fucking 15 years, and then thought, oh, they just put the same shit on and got out there with like smokers cough and stuff. I would have fucking loved it, but it was too much like we've matured. I was sort of like, no, I'd fucking want to see like a fucking 42-year-old Emma Bunton still trying to do the fucking like kind of pigtails fucking bunches, isn't it? Thing. I would have wanted to have seen that. Third Spice Girls album was where I was thought, like, this is fucked now. It was called Forever, and it had clearly been the title originally had clearly been like they've been plugging this rage because it's going to be called Spice Girls Forever. And that fits in with it. Spice Girls Forever. Then it was like Spice Girls Forever. It's not Spice Girls Forever. The album's called Forever, and it's a mature direction, and that is the fucking death of all pop music. George Michael, they go, he matured when he left Wham, and they go like, oh, fucking, he must be embarrassed by Wham. Are fucking brilliant. George Michael's solo stuff's all right. He was always a fucking top bloke, but his best stuff was the fucking kitsch stuff. Same with the Spice Girls, lost all the kits. They're all now trying to be fucking All Saints. They're all wearing black. There's that I want to make you holler thing. I mean, like, just fucking, it's just not fucking doing it. Victoria Beckham did the worst solo stuff. She did a thing with Dane Bowers of Another Level. You never hear about him anymore, and rightly so. He is someone else similar to Brian Harvey. Some people I'm sure he's a nice bloke, but he just has that vibe of like, just looks like a cunt. He just did Dane Bowers. He was supposedly, I remember there was like rumours that he was some part of there's a famous family called the Bowers that run a boxing gym in Canning Town in London that are a very sort of like famous, well-respected family. I remember going there to do a photo shoot, and I met one of the brothers, and I was having a conversation with him. I said to him, like, sort of like, oh, I heard that the guy Dane Bowers is like related to you somehow, and he's sort of like, no, that's not the case. And I was like, well, what? So you're not anything to do with it? He goes, well, he's nothing to do with us, would be a better way of putting it. And I was like, thinking, absolutely, I told you something, one of the most polite fucking men I've ever met on a visit to London. As we said, let me wear his wife's pink boxing gloves for a photo shoot that never happened. So the Spice, I'd have had a third Spice Girls album that was just a pick of those and a few re-recorded Shampoo songs, and I reckon that would have been enough to end their career. Between all of that, between the Society for the Cutting Up of Men and the 18-rated film featuring like autoerotic asphyxiation by thigh muscles and that, it would have been that probably would have been it. The third, they would have gone. The album had some good songs on it, but seemed a bit disjointed, and half of them were Shampoo songs. I would have either been sacked or would have just brought the band down with me, and it's very probable I never may have managed another musical group again, but the Spice Girls would have gone out in a blaze of glory. I might have been brought back for the reunion of it, and that has been. Is there any more questions? I'm just going to put it in a Q&A now because I was always going to be rambling. This was never going to have any kind of like real structure to it, but I think you knew that anyway.
Wilson asked, like going back to, we were talking about Withnail and what's his face?
Richard E. Grant.
Did you watch the recent Withnail watch through with Bruce Robinson?
Didn't know it was a thing, otherwise I would have done.
Yeah. Maybe we can, maybe it's available to re-watch.
No, I didn't know about that. Anything else?
No, I don't think so. There's a couple of comments, but you can go back and.
Is there any more questions from anyone? Because I'm kind of wrap it up. No, I've gone off the. No, I've not. No, I've not. I went on this. When I went onto I went onto the link there by accident.
We'll do that later.
I'm going to wrap it up in a bit because it's 20 to 11. Has anyone else got any questions about any of it? Any music related stuff, Spice Girls related stuff, anything of the sort? Anything?
Not so far.
Right, I reckon I'm going to wrap him up here then. So that's been that. I've got going to do the bucket speech now. I think should we do the bucket speech? What's the?
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm a barber and a comedian, so I'm fucked on 2 counts while we're social distancing. So I'm going to be doing the virtual equivalent of standing by the door with a bucket or an empty pint glass, and so I've got a PayPal thing, which is.
I'm just getting it for you.
Oh, new comment. Am I thinking of touring? It's going to be a very long time, I think, before live gigs are a thing again. I had been thinking of touring, doing a small tour before this happened, but I don't reckon that's going to be. I think this is pretty much how I'm going to be doing comedy for the foreseeable future now, just because of, although to be fair, some of the tour dates I did in the 2000s probably would have been within the fucking rules. They were that kind of low attended.
PayPal.me/Chippenham Comedy.
Just paypal.me/Chippenham Comedy. I'll put the link up on the fan page thing. So if you want to just like buy me a pint or what you can, well, buy me a can now in this pointless world that we live in now, then by all means do. So I'm not too proud to hold my hat out. Times are bizarre at the minute. I'll be doing something else. I would have thought in a few weeks' time.
Brian Devine, will you do the Fringe when things are normal?
Yeah, I was going to do the Fringe this year at one point, and I was just trying to find just trying to figure out how I want to do it. I don't think I'll be doing a full Fringe run probably again because of running Hepcats and everything, but I'll probably, if things are back to normal next year, I'll probably think about coming up and maybe doing like a week run or something like that. I was going to come up and I was going to do a new show, and Andrew O'Neill was going to direct that for me, but that's all kind of on ice for the time being. But that's not to say that I won't come back and do it. We just have to see what the circuit looks like when it comes back. I mean, this is like, if I'm finding this was weird at first doing this, but it's getting easier, and it's germ free and all of that.
Smithy says, "Can you still recite 'Get in the Ring'?"
Can I still recite 'Get in the Ring'? He goes the middle bit where he goes. This is for all you punks in the press that talk shit about us or something like that. I can just see if I can remember the blokes. He does this rant in the middle of 'Get in the Ring' that's like the whole song's about how he wants to like get in the ring and fight loads of music critics that have had the audacity to call him a racist just because he used the N-word with malice in a song, and just like people who just don't like Guns N' Roses. I liked them. My dad thought they were shit, so obviously these critics were more in line with my dad. But it's Andy Setzer at Hit Parader, Mick Wall at Kerrang, Bob Guccione Jr. at Spin. Why are you pissed off because your old man gets more pussy than you do? Fuck you, suck my motherfucking dick. You're ripping off the kids and want to read about the... Yeah, Poor old Mick Wall of Kerrang and Andy Setzer. All anyone knows was just a bloke who, for somebody who didn't like gay people, Axl Rose was always telling blokes to suck his cock. Has to be said, yeah. I think Axl Rose joined. That was a bit of a left field replacement. Axl Rose joining AC/DC. That was the thing, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
So if you're an AC/DC fan, you thought, like, what I'd like is the gigs to start 4 hours later than they should do, and have someone going I in between every fucking line of the song wearing cycling shorts. That'd be the thing. Yeah, mix. That's a Bob Guccione Jr. I suppose Bob Guccione Sr. is the famous pornographer, so he thinks that he's jealous that his father is getting more sex than him. He thought, like, how do I retaliate to that? I'll give Guns N' Roses a 2-star review. Mick Wall wrote an unauthorised biography of Guns N' Roses where he implied they'd all been messing about with drugs, which was, of course, completely untrue, and nothing of the sort happened, and they all had a nice glass of milk and everything. Yeah, get in the ring. Fucking hell, it used to be the great joy in life when we were 14. Get in the ring. You want to antagonize me, motherfucker? Get in the ring, motherfucker. I'll kick your bitch, your little ass. Fuck it. Someone come up to me and said Bon Jovi. I said, John Bon Jovi, and suck my motherfucking cock. Meow. I used to think there were two blokes singing in Guns N' Roses when I first saw. I thought there was one bloke going, one other bloke going, same fucking bloke, multi-talented. Is Axl Rose. He could do two kinds of impersonations of Bon. He's trying to be Bon Scott, isn't he? He was trying to be Rod Stewart. So there's a lineage of going, and that. But you had the fucking Mr. Brownstone rapping like it. Walk with me alone. Yeah, that could be my next live thing. Will sings Guns of motherfucking Roses. Right. Is that it?
I think that's it.
Right, that's it. Thanks for watching and listening to that. I'll probably think of something else to do in a couple of weeks' time. I think I've got at least another like 3-4 weeks or something locked down, I would have thought, before someone from the government comes and grabs me from my bed and drags me kicking and screaming into, well, it's not really, because it's going to be a little bit before I'm going to be back at work, so I'll probably do something else.
Brian Devine says, you were the very first gig I saw at my very first Fringe, and I've been a fan ever since.
That's lovely.
Maybe 2007, not sure. Love your stuff.
That's lovely, thank you.
Sniffy says, like it. I'm assuming your impression of Axl Rose. Caroline Butler says, thanks, Will. Jimbo says, I'm going to jib off, or at least stop commenting, lest I become tonight's even shifter Alan Davies to Will's Stephen Fry. Oh, loved it, mate. Thank you. We'll drop you some coins in the PayPal hat. Glad
that's lovely. Thank you.
For the Get in the Ring.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Stay germ free, everyone. Donna says, thank you, Will. Enjoyed it. Chucking something in the bucket. Best wishes to you and yours. Colin Samuel says, great stuff, Will. Chris Evans says, thanks, Will. That was ace. Ben Fortune Price says, thanks, Will. Love you, bud. Love you too.
Love you too, man. Love you too. Thank you, everyone.
Freddie says, brilliant stuff. Chris Evans says, also thanks, Sarah, for the emceeing. Your mum says, that was great, question mark. I think she means that was great. I'm sure that was a
typographical error. Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks, everyone. If there's both the Shampoo albums and the Period Pains Peel session are on Spotify, if you wanted to listen to those. If you want another girl band thing that I was listening to in the vein of that is the Voodoo Queens. Their song, I can't remember the title of it, but if you want immediately which one it is, they're one of their ode to Fancy and Keanu Reeves and how they can't pronounce his name properly. It's called something like Kiwani Head or something like that. So those are my Spotify recommendations. Obviously, the Spice Girls are on Spotify as well.
You should do some playlists for people.
I could do a playlist. I might do a girl band playlist of girl bands. Yeah, I might do that. I'll do that for later on or tomorrow. Cool. Right. Thanks very much, everyone. And I'm gonna leave now because if I end this, I'll end it in a way that can't be saved to YouTube. So I'm gonna let Sarah do the end of it.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much again.